A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Jadabi.
And I'm Umitra Bekun. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Navy seizes multi-day vessel with 2,000 million rupees worth ice and heroin. World prepares for joyous Christmas celebrations. Colombo Kankasanthrai train service resumes. Tourist arrivals surpass 2.2 million this year. And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, the Sri Lanka Navy has intercepted 99 vessels involved in drug trafficking this year alone, marking a significant crackdown on maritime narcotics operations. Yesterday, the Navy seized yet another vessel in the southern seas, which was brought ashore this morning under tight security.
A multi-day fishing vessel, along with 5 suspects on board, was escorted to the Audit harbour earlier today. Identified as Dinukaputa, the multi-day fishing boat had departed from Gandhara on the 9th of December. Upon inspection, authorities discovered 170 parcels of narcotics hidden inside 11 sacks. The haul included over 172 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine or ice and more than 21 kilograms of heroin. Senior officials, including Deputy Minister of Defence, retired Major General Aruna Jayasekara, the Navy Commander, and the Inspector General of Police, visited the Audit harbour to inspect the seized drugs.
This haul includes over 160 kilograms of ice and more than 21 kilograms of heroin, valued at nearly 2 billion rupees. We have informed the IGP to intensify efforts. We urge the public to share information via the 1818 hotline. Recent tips have been invaluable and we need continued public support to eliminate this menace.
The operation was spearheaded by the Navy's Long-Range Special Operations Unit with support from Navy Intelligence, State Intelligence Service, Defence Ministry, Police, Narcotics Bureau, Special Task Force and Coast Guard. Investigations reveal that the suspects are residents of Dondra, while the vessel owner is from Chilau. So far this year, the Navy has seized over 2,980 kilograms of ice and more than 1,050 kilograms of heroin, arresting 360 suspects linked to drug trafficking.
T-56 assault rifle and 2 magazines were discovered inside an abandoned car in the Kurukulava area of Ragama.
A vehicle was inspected last night following a tip-off received by Cardiff Police. During the search, officers recovered the T-56 assault rifle and 2 magazines concealed inside the car. Police stated that the suspects had fled the scene after leaving the vehicle behind. Investigators are yet to determine the purpose for which the car was brought to the location. Further inquiries revealed that the vehicle was fitted with fake number plates, raising suspicions of organised criminal activity. A prime suspect accused of aiding and abetting the assassination of Veligama Pradeshya Sabha chairman Lasantha Vikramasekara was arrested during a special operation in the southern province. The suspect is alleged to have provided protection and intelligence to the group that carried out the killing. In a separate development, police arrested an individual linked to the shooting of a 47-year-old man who worked as a manager at a business establishment in Ambalangoda. He was taken into custody during a raid at a lodging facility in Kollupitia, conducted by the Financial Crimes Investigation Division. Additionally, Kudu Roshan, a notorious organised crime gang member and drug trafficker, was arrested in Maligawatha during a raid by officers of the Criminal Investigation Department. A 9mm pistol was recovered from his possession. Former Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna local council candidate Sampath Manamperi, who was previously held under a 90-day detention order by the Colombo North Crimes Division for allegedly possessing chemicals used in the production of crystal methamphetamine, has been ordered to remain in detention for another 90 days for questioning. The order was issued when the suspect was produced before Walasmulla magistrate Malcha Korituaku. Meanwhile, Piyal Manamperi, the brother of Sampath Manamperi, who is already in prison over the same case, was also presented before the court. The magistrate directed that he be remanded until the 7th of January. During the proceedings, the Western Province North Crimes Investigation Division informed the court that police investigations into the incident are still ongoing.
Newsfirst with the people.
A special live broadcast of the Christmas service will begin tonight at 10:30 p.m. on Sirasa TV, coming directly from St. Anthony's Church, Kirimatiyagara, Kadawatha. This festive telecast will allow thousands of viewers across Sri Lanka to join in the sacred celebration of Christmas Eve. We now have Onelka Amarathunga live with more details. Onelka, over to you.
Thank you, Gerard, for the handover. We're here at the St. Anthony's Church, Kirimatiyagara, where the Christmas Midnight Mass will be held. It is a very special and divine Christmas for all of us, as it has been 2025 years since the birth of Jesus Christ. At 10:30 p.m., a carol service will be held, followed by the 11:45 p.m. Midnight Mass. This will be conducted by Father Samantha Kurera. It is a very special Christmas for all of us, and the Midnight Mass will be held here with a lot of people from all around here coming to be present here in this Mass. So this Mass will be as special as the Christmas this year, where it's been 2025 years since the birth of Jesus Christ. So this is a very special Christmas to all of us. Thank you for joining us here today. Back to you, Juad.
Thank you, Anuka, for that update. Now moving on with more local news. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya visited several schools in the Badulla district that were severely affected by recent disasters.
The Prime Minister arrived at the Meghakula National School in Badulla. The school sustained extensive damage to its building due to heavy flooding triggered by cyclone Detwa.
Schools must reopen on the 5th of January for the new academic year. We are introducing a new curriculum for grade 1 and grade 6. Therefore, it is essential to restore schools to normalcy by then. A relief package has already been announced. We will provide funds for temporary relocation if necessary, or even for building new homes. In the meantime, we may have to combine some schools and bring children together in temporary facilities. Our priority is to ensure education continues without disruption. We are planning both short-term and long-term measures, and we are ready to intervene with regional suggestions and proposals.
Later, the Prime Minister inspected the Pipenakakulu preschool in Yoda Ulpata village, which was damaged when a tree collapsed on the building. The Prime Minister then visited the Passara Yuri Tamil Mahavidyalaya to assess the situation. Villagers gathered at the school requested assistance to be relocated to a safe area.
Train operations on the Northern Railway line resumed following the completion of restoration work.
Services along the Northern Railway line were halted after Cyclone Detwa caused severe flooding, damaging multiple sections of the track. With repairs now complete, trains are running across the entire route for the first time in 26 days. Accordingly, the Yaldevi train departed Colombo Fort at 6:40 am for Kankasanturai. The Railway Department also announced that the return train will leave Kankasanturai at 10:30 am and is scheduled to arrive at Colombo Fort at 6:54 pm. Meanwhile, train services along the Polonnaruwa and Batticaloa lines also resumed, restoring connectivity for thousands of passengers.
The International Labour Organization warns that cyclone Ditwa threatens 374,000 jobs and $16 billion in GDP.
The International Labour Organization, or the ILO, has issued a preliminary assessment revealing the severe labour market and economic impact of cyclone Ditwa in Sri Lanka. According to the report, 1.7 million people, nearly 7.5% of the national population, live in the affected areas. The cyclone has disrupted livelihoods for approximately 374,000 workers, including 244,000 men and 130,000 women across agriculture, industry and services. Sectoral estimates show 85,000 agricultural jobs, 125,000 industrial jobs and 164,000 service jobs at risk. Monthly earnings losses could reach $48 million, placing informal and low-wage workers in immediate jeopardy. The ILO warns that 16% of Sri Lanka's GDP, valued at $16 billion, is at risk, with impacts concentrated in a few districts, raising concerns about uneven recovery and prolonged local economic disruption. Agriculture and related activities, already vulnerable to climate shocks, have been disproportionately affected, threatening food security and rural livelihoods. The report calls for emergency cash assistance linked to decent employment programs such as debris removal and infrastructure repair, alongside support for MSMEs through grants and subsidies to retain workers and restart operations. ILO emphasizes that this labour market shock comes amid existing challenges from the post-conflict period, COVID-19, the debt crisis and slowing exports.
The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization reported that fisheries losses topped 21 billion rupees after cyclone Ditwa.
The Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO, has warned of severe agricultural and livelihood disruptions in Sri Lanka following cyclone Ditwa, which struck during the critical Maha planting season. According to preliminary estimates, 106,000 hectares of paddy, the country's staple crop, were partially damaged or completely destroyed, representing 20% of total sowings for the 2026 Maha season. The worst hit districts include Putlam, Kurunagala, Ampara, Anuradhapura, Batticaloa and Trincomalee. Significant losses were also reported for maize, vegetables, big onions and green gram, key cash crops for rural households. FAO estimates that 227,000 farmers, mostly smallholder rice producers, have suffered major livelihood setbacks, threatening food security and income stability. The livestock sector has been equally hard hit, with 475,000 birds and nearly 50,000 animals, including cattle, buffaloes, goats and swine, lost. Meanwhile, the fisheries and aquaculture industries sustained extensive damage, including the destruction of boats, fishing gear, fish ponds and shrimp farms. Losses in the fisheries sector alone are valued at 20.5 billion rupees to 21.5 billion rupees. FAO warns that these shocks will reduce the availability of animal protein in affected areas and undermine key livelihood assets for farming and fishing communities. The organization stresses the urgent need for targeted recovery measures, including emergency assistance, rehabilitation of agricultural infrastructure, and support for small-scale producers to restore food systems and rural economies.
Today marks the third day of the LOLC Divisavya You, Me, Our Nation social welfare initiative, launched to provide relief to communities affected by recent disasters. The program is being implemented across 6 districts severely impacted by cyclone Ditwa, where thousands of homes were completely destroyed. Over a 10-day period, the initiative will cover Kandy, Matale, Kegal, Badulla, Nuwara and Ratnapura, delivering essential supplies to affected families. Under this program, dry rations and other essential items are distributed to households that suffered total housing damage. On day 3, relief efforts were concentrated in the Kandy district, reaching families in Ganga Yelakorale, Doluva,
Yatinuwara, Hataraliyadda, Deltota and Pathahewa had a divisional secretariat divisions. The program aims to assist 4,000 families across 69 divisional secretariat divisions. Tomorrow, the initiative will continue in Kandy district, covering Udunuwara, Gangawatakoralaya, Harispattuwa, Akurana, Pathadumbara, Madadumbara, Kundasale and Panvila divisions.
The recently released IMF country report on Sri Lanka says that debt sustainability remains a pressing concern.
Sri Lanka's restructuring efforts between 2022 and 2024 delivered a significant relief. Public debt to GDP fell from 125.8% to 105.7%, and gross financing needs dropped from 33.9% to 21.9%. The recently released IMF country report on Sri Lanka says that interest to revenue ratios improved from 79% to 56%. Still, post-restructuring indicators remain elevated, demanding fiscal prudence and a carefully designed strategy to preserve sustainability while supporting recovery. It added that emergency spending will play a pivotal role in reconstruction. The report noted that supplementary allocations under the 2026 budget must follow strict procedures, with any breach of expenditure ceilings justified under escape clauses and accompanied by corrective measures. Looking ahead, financial preparedness for disasters through dedicated funds, insurance and risk transfer mechanisms will be critical. Transparency and accountability will underpin public trust, the report noted, while adding that all emergency spending, including allocations through the Rebuilding Sri Lanka Fund and donor contributions, must comply with governance safeguards. As Sri Lanka navigates this turbulent chapter, the challenge lies in balancing urgent reconstruction needs with long-term fiscal discipline while seizing the opportunity to emerge stronger and more resilient.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has expressed deep concern over the prolonged failure to appoint a permanent Auditor General nearly 10 months after the previous office holder retired in April 2025.
In a letter dated 22nd of December 2025, addressed to President Andrakumara Dissanayake, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka warned that the vacancy poses serious risks to financial accountability and governance. The Auditor General's Office, established under Article 153(1) of the Constitution, plays a critical role in ensuring transparency across all state institutions and entities as mandated by Article 154. The BASL emphasized that the absence of a permanent head undermines the effective functioning of the National Audit Office. The urgency of the appointment is amplified by Sri Lanka's ongoing recovery from a financial crisis, supported by the IMF Extended Fund Facility and the influx of foreign aid following Cyclone Ditwa. The letter stated, quote, "Financial accountability and transparency of state institutions are of paramount importance," end quote. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka also noted that the nominee proposed by the President has not secured majority approval from the Constitutional Council. It urged the appointment of a candidate with proven competence, integrity and independence, rather than a partisan figure to restore confidence in the audit process.
Newsfirst with the people.
In just a few hours, the world will celebrate the glorious Christmas, a festival that carries a profound message of peace and coexistence. Across Sri Lanka, devotees are preparing with devotion and joy to mark this sacred occasion.
Christmas, meaning birth, is the most significant festival for Christians worldwide. Over 2025 years ago, on the night of the 24th of December, the Liberator Jesus Christ was born. This divine birth, commemorated every year, reminds the faithful of humanity and hope. On this holy night, Churches across the country will be filled with worshippers offering prayers and sharing the true spirit of Christmas, peace, compassion, and generosity. Devotees will distribute food, clothing, and gifts to the needy, reflecting the essence of love and humanity.
Christ was born as a humble child without a home or shelter. At that moment, there was no house or door for him, and his parents had to take refuge in a manger to bring him into this world. As we celebrate Christmas, we have a special responsibility toward one another. Everyone who can should extend support to those who are displaced, those who have lost their homes, and those struggling even to cook a meal. We must share our joy with them, visit them, and celebrate Christmas together. Let us help as much as we can and protect those in need. I invite all of you to make this Christmas meaningful by embracing this spirit of giving. May you have the opportunity to celebrate such a Christmas, and I wish you all a blessed and joyful Christmas.
ස්වාමීන් වන ජේසුස් වහන්සේගේ උපත සමරන නත්තල උදාවන්නට තව හෝරා කීපය.
Only few hours are left to celebrate the birth of our holy Jesus Christ. As we all know, we had to continue this journey in a very dark period of time, among many challenges. People who walked in the dark has now seen a better light. A light is now shining upon the people who lived in the dark. I wish all Sri Lankans a blessed Christmas.
නත්තලක් වේවායි මා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. ජිස්පීට.
Communities across Sri Lanka are preparing enthusiastically. In Negombo, Kampaha and surrounding areas, streets and homes are adorned with lights and decorations. Similar festive scenes are visible in Nur Elia, Chilau, where people are ready to welcome the midnight birth of Christ despite challenges.
නත්තල කියන්නේ සතුට ජේසුස් වහන්සේත් එක්ක අපි ආයේ නැගිටිමු හැම දෙයකින්ම කියලා පරිදිලා ගියත් අපි පරිදින මිනිස්සු නෙමෙයි කියන එක තමයි අපිට දකින්න තියෙන්නේ. හරදර බාධක ගොඩාක් මැද්දේ ජනතාව නගරයට එනවා. බිස්නස් අතින් නම් ඉතින් 50% තමයි තියෙන්නේ.
Allah in Badulla was also in the festive spirit. Adding to the festive spirit, Bandaranaike International Airport has been beautifully decorated to greet travelers arriving for the season.
Two years after Israel-Gaza conflict silenced all festivities, Bethlehem will be celebrating Christmas once again this year. After 2 years of subdued Christmases, with public celebrations cancelled as the war in Gaza raged, festive activities are returning to Bethlehem. With a tenuous ceasefire now in place in Gaza, the holy city in the occupied West Bank is cautiously reviving its festive customs, symbolized by the lighting of its iconic Christmas tree in front of the Church of the Nativity on Manger Square on the 6th of December. Across the city, streets are once again illuminated with colorful lights, while signs announce the return of Christmas bazaars. That determination is beginning to pay off. With celebrations restored, tourists are slowly returning, many reassured by the ceasefire. Bethlehem holds deep religious significance during Christmas. Revered as the birthplace of Jesus, it traditionally draws thousands of pilgrims each December. That tradition was abruptly halted after the outbreak of war in October 2023, triggered by an attack by Palestinian militant group Hamas on Israel. While officials stress that the situation remains fragile, they say the relative calm has allowed for a limited but meaningful revival of activities that had been sealed back or cancelled in previous years.
The main Christmas Mass will be celebrated at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, where His Holiness Pope Leo XIV will preside over the midnight Eucharistic service, followed by the traditional Christmas message to the world. In Sri Lanka, the principal Christmas Mass will take place tonight at St. Mary's Church, Uswetakeyawa, under the leadership of His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, Archbishop of Colombo.
Starting today, special transport services have been arranged for people travelling out of Colombo during the festive season.
The Sri Lanka Transport Board announced that additional bus services will operate until the 27th of December, with 80 extra long-distance buses deployed to accommodate the surge in passengers. At a media briefing held today, the Director General of the National Transport Commission, Dr. Nilan Miranda, explained the process.
Currently, SLTB has prepared around 100 additional buses. The National Transport Commission, together with route passenger transport authorities and registered private buses, will ensure smooth travel. After the Christmas celebrations, passengers returning to Colombo and major cities for work will also be supported with extra buses. Due to
the Christmas festivities, school holidays and the year-end vacation period, the Railway Department has also planned special train services.
Today at 3 p.m, a special train departed from Maradana to Mathura for passengers heading home for the holidays. It will return from Mathura on Monday at 5 a.m. and reach Colombo by 8:30 a.m. On the 25th December, Christmas Day, an intercity train will run from Colombo to Kankasanture, departing at 5:45 a.m. and return the same day at 1:30 p.m. Another intercity train will operate on the 28th December as well.
Sri Lanka recorded over 2.58 million tourist arrivals in 2025.
Sri Lanka has welcomed 2,582,202 tourists so far this year, according to the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, marking a significant increase compared to last year. India tops the list with 510,133 visitors, followed by the United Kingdom with 204,703 arrivals and Russia with 174,267 tourists. Adding to the festive season boost, the first winter charter flight from Poland touched down at Katunaik International Airport last night. The Boeing 737 aircraft, operated with a crew of 9, carried 180 passengers eager to experience the island's tropical charm.
On to news overseas now. Russia and China criticized the United States yesterday for its military and economic pressure on Venezuela, telling the UN Security Council it was cowboy behavior and intimidation. Venezuela's UN Ambassador Samuel Moncada told a meeting of the 15-member United Nations Security Council that the United States has continental ambitions over much of Latin America as it wages an unofficial war to remove the government of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. He added, quote, "We want to alert the world that Venezuela is only the first target of a larger plan. The US government wants us to be divided so it can conquer us piece by piece," unquote.
We want to alert the world. Venezuela is only the first target of a larger plan. The US government wants us to be divided so it can conquer us piece by piece.
Venezuela earlier this month requested that the UNSC meet to address the ongoing US aggression, which began in September when the White House launched airstrikes against vessels in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean. However, in response, the United States told the UNSC yesterday that it will impose and enforce sanctions to the maximum extent to deprive Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of resources, as Russia warned other Latin American countries could be next.
Activists tried to storm the Bangladesh High Commission in New Delhi, India, as they rallied against the neighbouring nation for failing to protect its minorities. The demonstration comes after a 25-year-old man was lynched and burnt publicly following allegations of blasphemy.
The killing of a man during recent violent protests in Bangladesh has pushed already strained ties between Dhaka and Delhi into a deeper crisis. As the two neighbors accuse each other of destabilizing relations, questions are growing over whether their once close, time-tested relationship is fraying beyond repair. In India, the episode has sparked protests by nationalist groups. The man who was killed, Deepu Chandra Das, 27, a member of Bangladesh's minority, was accused of blasphemy and beaten to death by a mob last week in Mymensingh in northern Bangladesh. The incident happened hours before violent protests broke out over the murder of Sharif Usman Hadi, a prominent student leader in the capital, Dhaka. Hadi's supporters alleged that the main suspect, who they say is linked to the Awami League, the party of deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, has fled to India, further fueling anti-India sentiment in Bangladesh. Bangladeshi police, however, said there was no confirmation that the suspect had left the country. Meanwhile, the heir to Bangladesh's long-time ruling family and a leader of its most powerful political party, Tariq Rahman, is set to return home after 17 years in exile and ahead of key elections. Rahman, a prime minister who has lived in London since he fled Bangladesh in 2008 over what he called a politically motivated persecution, is due to arrive in Dhaka tomorrow. The Libyan army chief has been killed in an air crash in Turkey. The crash also killed everyone else on board. The Libyan army's chief of staff, Mohammed Ali Ahmed al-Haddad, has died in a plane crash near the Turkish capital Ankara shortly after the private jet he was travelling in took off from an airport there. General Mohammed Ali Ahmed al-Haddad and 4 others were on board a Falcon 50 aircraft flying out the Turkish capital Ankara last evening. The other victims were 4 high-ranking Libyan military officials as well as 3 crew members. In a post on X, Turkish Interior Minister Ali Yelikaya said signal with the business jet was lost at 8:52 local time, about 42 minutes after it took off from Ankara's airport. The Tripoli-bound jet had issued an emergency landing request before contact was lost. The aircraft's wreckage was later found south of West Ankara and an investigation is now underway into what caused the crash. In Libya, Abdul Hamid Dabibe, the Prime Minister of the country's internationally recognized Government of National Unity, said he had received news of the deaths of General Haddad and other senior Libyan military officials on board the jet. The Prime Minister called it a great loss for the nation, saying Libya had lost men who served their country with sincerity and dedication. General al-Haddad was the top military commander in Western Libya and played a crucial role in the ongoing United Nations brokered efforts to unify the country, which has been divided since 2014 following the NATO-backed revolt that toppled and killed long-time ruler Muammar Gaddafi. General Haddad and his team had been in Turkey for talks aimed at further strengthening military and security cooperation between the two countries.
Sri Lanka Rugby has secured the hosting rights for the Asia Rugby Under-19 15-a-side Championship 2026.
The last time Sri Lanka hosted the Asia Rugby Under-19 15-a-side Championship was in 2000, when the junior Tuskers, captained by Jeevan Gunatilaka, delivered a landmark performance by qualifying for the World Rugby Under-20 Championship in Chile. Now, 26 years later, Sri Lanka is set to welcome Asia's finest young rugby talent, reaffirming its commitment to youth development, structured pathways and high-performance excellence. And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.